cameras are shooting up there, this could be real bad for your image to get you in jail.
Oh man, get out!
You know me in the camera, boy. I'm good. I take a picture, no problem.
Oh.
Rest of them are
That's wild.
Yeah.
We have just heard from Early.
and then you have to run because it's going to come. Let's get the sheet out of there. It's about another 5 minutes.
We'll begin our program. So you have time to get a cup of coffee and a sandwich, and we will begin in 4 minutes.
I'm going to go to the mayor. You doing all right? I'm doing good.
The concept.
Oh, well, yeah. The ground running.
Yeah. No, I was going to speak to
The engineers.
Hey, have you kept it up?
Obviously, I paid that bill.
I'll be making a media presentation, so I'd like to invite you to review that, and we should be take about 20 minutes. Does that sound
Right now.
We're ready to go? Okay. We're glad that so many of you could join with us in this very cold but celebrative occasion. This is a very important, I think, historic moment in the life of our city. We're today changing the meaning of this piece of our history, at any rate. The ground on which we are standing has been, for many, many years before the Civil War, a place of suffering. Was first a quarantine site for victims of communicable diseases, and then later on became a prison for those that could not pay their fines. It was a place of incredible suffering and bondage from its beginning. There were many rumors that always swirled around this place, rumors of people who were sentenced here and never heard from again. Of course, the records don't show that. The records show that there was only one person that ever died in this prison, and that was a person that had tuberculosis. But our city's historian, Franklin Garrett, tells us that when Interstate 20 was cut across the Stockade property, that the skeletal remains of some 50 bodies were unearthed with no record of those individuals. Finally, the city in 1929 decided to rid forever this symbol, this stigma from the history of the city, emptied the prison and decided to tear it down, but found that it had been made too well. The walls were just too thick. And so it has been sitting here most of this century, waiting, I believe, for this day to come. Today we will be removing the bars of this prison in a symbolic act that will signal the beginning of the construction of what was the Atlanta Stockade. Today we will rename it. It will be known as Glencastle, a residential community for the working poor of our city. It is an expression of the heart and compassion of our city, and Rennie Scott, who is the project manager, will tell us just a little bit about some of the many participants that have brought us to this point and will see this conversion through to its completion next Easter. Rennie Scott.
I don't know how many of you have had a chance already to see the incredible slideshow of O'Connor Burnham that is put out, but when I first saw it, we looked at those stained glass windows and heard the hauntingly beautiful voice in the background singing about God's love. And just as I was beginning to relax and rejoice in all of that, the reality of human suffering and the shame and the brokenness and the human need that is transpired in this place, in this facility, comes crashing home to us. And as one is about to be overwhelmed by that sense, a sense of despair that maybe God's love is only for a stained glass world, you see Atlanta's Compassion Corps rise up. You see an army of volunteers begin to transform the meaning of this history. And then you hear at the end that song again about the love of God. And somehow it's a little bit more authentic. I mean, that's the process that we're going through. I can think of Amoco Oil, who came forward when this was no more than an impossible dream. And they gave us a lead capital gift of $300,000. I think of the architects who pioneered a revolutionary concept of competitors working together, giving their time and their talent to come up with a design development package that would make this work. And then we were met at the city in the Bureau of Buildings by a creative, compassionate leader who took us quantum steps along the path. And I think of one professional woman, part of the interior design community that's helping make this prison into a home that'll build human dignity for the people living in it. And she lives in the community as we do, and she was walking her dog a week ago Sunday. And she stopped at our house at 8:30 in the morning, and she told me that she was just about to become a foster parent to a little child who has AIDS. And she explained to me that the mother of that child was a drug user and had infected herself and her baby. And this interior design professional who's working on this project is going to become the foster parent. And I thought in a very real way that epitomizes the kind of personal concern for people and professional talent applied to this project. And that's really a picture of all the volunteers, of their heart and their involvement. I can hear a skeptic saying, well, wait a minute, Rennie, this Good Samaritan stuff doesn't work in our day. At least not unless you've got good liability insurance. But you know, that may be true in every other city but Atlanta, because the insurance industry in this city stepped up to the table and solved one of the toughest problems of a volunteer project like that, and that's how to protect the volunteers who offer their talents and their gifts. And they've come out with a way to cover and protect those who are offering their time and their energy to make this historic transformation a reality. But I think the people I really want to focus on today are the 9 general contractors. I've been meeting every Friday morning at 7:30 for the last month with them. They're probably responsible for 80% of the major building in this city, and they formed a consortium to build Glencastle. I don't think that you could get 9 ministers or rabbis or priests who could have a greater spirit of cooperation. Now, these men are fierce competitors, honest competitors, but the spirit they exemplify is one of the most encouraging sights that I've seen in many a year. They have divided up the workload. One contractor went out to the electrical community and approached 15 different electrical contractors. One said no, but 14 said yes. And at their first meeting, donated 2,000 man-hours for this project. One of the contractors went to one of the suppliers, Peachtree Doors, and he said, "Oh yes, I've heard about this project. Here is our catalog on the windows that we produce. Find the ones that'll fit in the Stockade, and they're yours." That's what we're seeing happening. So many volunteers from so many different professions. I couldn't even begin to name them. I think of Ronald McDonald. Even he's gotten into the act. When he heard there were going to be children in this facility, they offered to build a playground for the future residents here at Glencastle. And then I think of the many people, families, prayer groups, churches, banks, businesses, who have bought a second home in the city. One right here at Glencastle, one they'll never own and never live in. But they've made it available so that the working poor who are being priced out of the market for basic necessities will have the opportunity to have a home instead of being pushed onto the streets. You know, when we talk about all that has happened, and you might think, well, you must be over the hill on fundraising. That wouldn't be true. We've seen an enormous outpouring. $2.5 million have been pledged and donated and come forth, but there's 900,000 yet to go, and we need your help. But that's not the focus of today, but I'd be remiss if I didn't say it. The focus of the day is what we feel in our hearts, and it's gratitude to you and gratitude to God for Atlanta's Compassion Corps, for the city in which we live, for what we're seeing happening, and for the history.